So we should also remember, we talk negatively about these plant introductions. The deliberate introduction of plants from one continent, region or country to another has been a critical element of our social, economic and agriculture development. Even the sacred bo tree was introduced from India to Sri Lanka. Our tastiest fruits, our beautiful flowers and our most interesting vegetables, and all these are important. We shouldn't forget that. And plant introductions and improvements are the foundation of modern agriculture, yielding diversity to our supply of plants used for food, forestry, landscape and gardens and other purposes. So we should not think that anything foreign is bad. But then we should keep in mind that Sri Lanka spends about a little over 400 million rupees annually to control invasive alien species. This is a very conservative figure, because we got information from the irrigation department, wildlife department, forest department, agriculture department and all these similar agencies. But then there are other government organizations also under different vote headings. They are spending money to deal with invasive species. This is a big sum. United States alone spends about 140 billion US dollars. That's about 10 times of our national economy. So it's a big business and big loss to our country. 400 million is a big loss. I mean, we don't. Some of the ministries don't get that much money every year, and we should not bring plants into Sri Lanka without proper approval from the Department of Agriculture. That's the message I want to give you, because if you go to the airport today, I gave this in another presentation also, I said the same thing. If you go to the Katunayake airport around 12:30 midnight, I mean soon after midnight, check the baggage from people coming from Thailand or Singapore. That's the time you get these flights to Sri Lanka. You might see, at least 15, 20 bags with plants, 1 or 2 plants at least. People bring plants without proper approval. It's not good. And that's how our coconut industry got ruined. This Promethea cumingia came with some orchid plants, and there are a lot of examples I can mention, and we can stop this if you are vigilant. Thank you.
So I have 2 questions. One is about Samran that shows in the presentation. Now I understand that some of the plants we introduce can, without harm, can be native or can invade and be harmful. So recently I went to this Gulumadalawa, the forest, Kandy area, and I saw everywhere this Samrani to be very panic about that. Like, is it like I asked the forest officer, and then he said it seems no harm so far, so that they are just keeping it. That is my first question. And then the second one is, we heard now you have sort of been involved in this, creating these 2 gardens. So were all the plants you sort of planted were native, or did you introduce new plants? And then it's not related to plants, but then were community involved in this project, so that it is easy to find native plants and things? So those are my 2 questions.
Okay. The first question, Samrani. Actually, the forest department, or Gulumadalawa is actually under the forest department, so they can do it. They can do some thinning. They can start removing, not the entire area, part by part, if they can practice some kind of thinning activity and trying to, I don't say that they should plant native trees in each of those places. At least if they let the natural regeneration to take place, let the natural seedlings to come up after thinning these Samrani trees, of course, probably you may be able to recover, bring back the natural vegetation in that area. That can be done. That's doable. There are some examples even in Hantan area. Similar things have been done as with regards to pinus. And for the new botanic gardens, of course, unlike those days now botanic gardens are very serious about bringing new plants into the country or planting new species in the arboreta. So when it comes to planting, especially woody plants, trees, we as much as possible, as far as possible, we restrict or we only select native plants. But then again, there are annuals, and I'm sure you may have seen some beautiful ornamental plants. Those are normal ornamental plants, exotics, but for the arboreta we use only the native plants. And then community participation, yes, we always try to recruit even people from the area. During my time, I never employed anyone from outside. They were only for the Bhumiputras, because we got their Chena lands and started gardens. And if you are recruiting people from Piliyandala and all this, that's not good. So I haven't done it, and I hope the people will continue to do that.
The plant introduced by the IPKF, people in Jaffna says that they use it as a narcotic to smoke. And it's not the goats that brought it, but the soldiers, the peacekeeping force themselves. But once the posters were removed, then it became a menace, and now the local government is taking action, I think, to remove it.
Actually, that's one theory, and there's another theory. Some people say that it came with dried chilies. So that's also there. There are several. Only thing is, the thing to remember is that this party name came during the IPKF time. How it came, we don't know. It could be that too. Yeah. People use it as a substitute for cannabis. Whether it works or not, I don't know. I have no personal experience. The forest department, no, actually that's a new trend. Now there are some people who are only using native plants for landscaping, and of course you can purchase native trees from the forest department nurseries. Even in the botanic gardens you can purchase native plants. One thing I forgot to mention is that this happens both ways. Now there are some plants which were brought from other countries and became invasive in this country, and there are also plants that have gone from Sri Lanka and become invasive in other countries. So both sides to the story. One good example is this Ligustrum walkeri, invasive in Reunion Islands, next to Mauritius and Rodrigues, and Puaggediyawal and Katuandara. And there are so many native plants which have gone to other countries and become invasive.
That you can grow plants to keep away mosquitoes. What are the plants, and does that mean that you have to have a pot inside the house, or you have to fill your garden?
In the vicinity, there are many Asteraceae plants, and also now citronella. Now even citronella oil is used as a repellent. It works, and citronella itself, gives when they rub, the leaves rub with the wind, you get this smell. So those plants, of course, you can grow in the vicinity, maybe in your compound. I don't know whether you can grow it in the bedroom or anything, but at least in the near the windows or something like that. Mostly the plants of Asteraceae, the Compositae family, and also these citronella-like plants.
Is there any other way? All they do is just bulldoze Lantana a week later.
The problem is with Lantana and also with Kalapuandara, the prosopis, they do, sometimes they just scrape and remove at least the top layer of soil also. So what happens is that you induce another batch of seeds to come and establish, maybe Lantana or some other invasive plant. So you have to do it very carefully. When you come up with that kind of manual removal program, you should also have a plan. What next? You should have a system to introduce native plants, or let the native plants to come up, what's called the assisted natural regeneration. Unless you have a plan in hand, better not implement all these massive, very expensive clearing activities. They don't actually, they are just waste of money. I can see even in Boondala it's happening. Now those areas where prosopis is removed, you can see after about a couple of months seedlings are coming. It is. In fact, we have listed about 32 nationally important invasive plants, and 20 of them have been selected as a priority, and Vellata is among them. I didn't want to show all of these things because I don't have much time. Yeah, it's also an invasive plant in the western coastal areas. Problem is, even this Attidi area, Vellata, you have large areas of Vellata, but if you remove all this Vellata in one go, what will happen to the bird life, the wildlife? Because if you have these invasive plants for a longer period of time, the wildlife will have some kind of relationship. Then we have to be very careful. If you are removing, you have to remove in part by part, section by section, and then only we can save both wildlife and the habitats. Otherwise, just blanket removal of Vellata might even be counterproductive.
You spoke about Asteraceae. What is the local term for that? I presume that's a Latin term.
Suryakantha.
Suryakantha, so that's good.
Yeah. Earlier it was called Compositae, now it's Asteraceae. Actually, anything aromatic, usually not necessarily Madhurtala, even Pangiri, or those strong aromatic, even people apply various balms like Siddhalepa, so those kind of things will keep mosquitoes away. Strong scents. So I know a friend of mine applies aftershave all over his body. It works.
Thank you very much, Professor Wijayasundara, for that fascinating talk. Especially since you started with continental drift and how the continents separated, and how natural barriers prevented plant dispersal, and it's really human agency that started invasive species or the species dispersal around the world, and also the impact of these new colonizers or species in different parts of the world. I particularly found that Samba and leopard example very interesting and fascinating, because I had never heard that before. I hadn't heard that some of the trees were being destroyed by the Samba eating the bark. I would like to see a little more of that getting out there, because there are lots of theories, but this is one of the most interesting observations, in fact, that you have made. And I'm amazed that the wildlife department is has got the wrong end of the stick as usual. Without further ado, thank you very much. That was really fascinating. I think this is quite an unusual talk for WNPS, because we mostly concentrate on animals, but occasionally on plants too, and this one in particular was really fascinating, at least for me. I'd like to ask Professor Lakshdas Fernando, former president of WNPS, who's an old friend of Professor Wijayasundara's, to hand him a small gift, a token of appreciation.